I'm gonna tell you my story of Somos, what we've done to a certain point, my experience and our strategy of what's been working and whatnot. But before that, I'm gonna kind of like follow on everybody's words here of what we've created with Somos, because before we even got to market, Felipe had said it, and we have to get price points, story, experiences. Jason was talking about the activation. What works for one brand doesn't work necessarily for another. And that's how Somos came along. So really quickly, Somos were in Espadín, one agave, single SKU, organic, which was a very big headache to get. My co-founder Isabel, she's in Santiago Matatán, Oaxaca, fourth generation Maestra Mezcalera. We've done the whole awards competition, which is also like exciting to get it. And the small milestones, like Jason was saying, we have to celebrate them, no, at the end of the day. And we're trying to go, there we go, for what's the story. One of the things that today it's very important, and it's been mentioned before, it's how are we connecting with the consumer? What's the experience? For us, it's about culture. Where do we come from? How do we differentiate ourselves in a very crowded market, which is mezcal? Yeah, a growing category, agave spirit, but there's thousands of them. Just walking around your Portrait Pavilion, every day I see a new brand. So for us, it's all about who we're targeting, culturally engaged general market drinkers, people from all around, and starting very firm in that sector of targeted consumer. A little bit of doing a little bit of a different branding, trying to go for different visuals than most of the brands. But really, what's the route to market? So I always ask myself, how do we compete with the big brands with $1 million in budget? What's your strategy? And how do we get case rotation to eventually hopefully get to profitability without burning cash like we're doing for the last year and a half, which is a reality. So for us, what's really been working, it's on-premise focus. I learned the lesson early on of going off-premise and trying to get in all of the shelves, Total Wine, Northgate in California, because we're based in LA. And reality is, if there's no brand awareness, people are not gonna buy you in the shelf. So you have to do all of the demos and all the tastings. My biggest campaign as well is Liquid to Lips. However, the case rotation off-premise was 1 to 10. It was nothing. So we were investing all of this cash off-premise, and we realized it wasn't really working. After a couple of months of realizing this, we're like, everything has to go on-premise. Eventually, the consumer is going to try us on-premise. We're focused on going in, telling the story, boots on the ground, a little bit different from your strategy, Jason. But for us, that's what works. No, we kind of like learned it through lessons. And really what we do right now, it's do consumer-driven activations where we spend all of our money to actually get the bartenders being inside there, meet the consumers that go into the bars and restaurants, and tell our story. Tell the story of Isabel, tell my story, how we started the brand, what differentiated us. Like for us, a big part, it's mezcal. A lot of people don't like mezcal because it's too smoky, has a big punch, and they're like, I'd rather have a tequila. We're like, yeah, but we wanted to do a cleaner, neater, more approachable mezcal, kind of like an introduction to mezcal. And when people try the product, which after here, everybody's invited to the booth to have a free mezcal and get a little bit tipsy because it's the end of the day, people understand it, but it's not easy when we walk in, say, hey guys, buy my bottle because we're organic and we're another mezcal and we're priced at SRP on shelf, we're at 65. On premise, we have different margins, but different price points, but we're still an expensive mezcal. But we stand very firm with our price point because of the story and what we believe. We're like, hey, you want something cleaner? Try this. You want something cheap? We're not for you. We go to another market. Like when people tell me, I want to buy a bottle of $20, we're like, yeah, that's not me. Go buy the Pernod Ricards and the Bacardis, and I don't want to speak names of other brands here, but it's a different market, no? We always get asked a lot, like, hey, what are you gonna do for us? And we know that a lot of the big brands drop the prices and do big investments, and it's the nature of the industry. For us, what we've found very much in success, it's all about relationships and experiences, but it takes a lot of time. It's been a year and a half of going out there, meeting with the beverage directors, meeting with the restaurant owners, meeting with the hotels, understanding what's our account target list, who is a potential buyer, and really going in every single day having a drink, even if they don't carry us. Just by the fact that they're seeing us there, me and my team, it's building the relationship to eventually get to the conversation of, oh, okay, now we know each other, you're hustling, you're here, let me help you out. Let's get into the menu placement, because for us, the whole goal at the end, it's the menu placement. Very different from Jason. So I love, because now you have two complete different stories or strategies, sorry, of what works for someone might not work for the other. For me, I tried digital marketing. It didn't work. Didn't work at all. So there's no one clear route to what works, because every single brand and every single story is going to be completely different. For me, I always focus more like quality versus quantity on the number of accounts. But at the end of the day, we have to have the case rotations. So my whole cash, all of my funding, goes into acquiring those menu placements and investing into the accounts, but not through a card swipe or not through lowering the price of the bottle, but through consumer activations. Because if we see what are Gen Zers looking for, what are millennials asking, the younger ones, they really want a connection. They want their story. They connect through emotions. And when they see a brand that speaks for them, that's why we also opted, as you saw a little bit in our marketing, at different visuals. People already know the story of the guy cutting the agave, etc. We're like, we want something that sparks emotion, good or bad. Even sometimes people say like, that's not my vibe. Yeah, but I made you feel something, so they remember us already. So a little bit of emotion helps all the time. And through those consumer activations, and experiences, then people go home and they're like, they're going to tell my friend, I went through a great party of Zomoz. I tried this nice mezcal. We did a nice little cocktail. It just takes more time. It's going to be slower. But for us, that's what's been working at the end of the day. That's another picture of, of the brand. And that's really what I wanted to present on Zomoz.